Hello YouTube. Been about 2 years since we posted a video working on our cars, but things got set aside for a little bit, but we're back on it. So the Viper motor, still going in the E36. Actually picked up a dog box, picked up all my body panels, got all kinds of cool parts that are going to go on this car. We're going to do our best to film as much as we can. Thank you, Aaron, for motivating us to make some more videos. We really appreciate that. I'll give you a quick update and then we'll just get to working on it. Last you saw, the car had the back cut off. I don't think it was quite this far. Have since cut a little more of the arch here because now my new overs are going all the way down. So right here creates a spot that likes to rub. Normally with the stock body it comes out to here, but then your over fender comes out here, so now it's all one piece. So that's been opened up a little more. All the brackets on the inside of the motor, you'll see all these little grinding spots. All the brackets that aren't being used anymore, out. These are also coming out. Seating positions coming back. Look forward to a video for that. Have also, this was a big part of the tube rear, is getting this boxed off. Leveling out the chassis, welding 4x1 square tubing. This is 120 wall. This you don't want to bend. Hopefully this is going to make the chassis strong enough to build everything coming out and not be a really good solid base, in hopes that none of that ever bends. These plates up here are tying this bar to our cage as well, so that will be going as well. We'll have a battery mounted back here and some other cool stuff. Cut out the rear package tray, going rear mount radiator. This sucker is really long, so there's no room for the radiator up front, so we're putting it back here. And that's about it. I'm not too sure where the last video left off, but that's just a quick little update. Don't want to talk too much. We're just going to get to working on stuff. So to start, this morning I went over to our buddy Mitch's house. He plasma cut all these brackets out for us. Obviously there's more than one car here, but you'll see how all this goes together as we go. First things first, gotta clean up the edges on these. They're still wet, like to dry them off, clean up all the slag from the plasma cutter, and get them all ready to start going on the car. So that was a lot of work. I think for now on, I'm gonna get them laser cut. We have all the files for it now, so I could just send them off and then get them mailed to us. The plasma does work great. It's very convenient, but for these smaller holes, it's just not the best. They don't line up perfectly. We made them smaller so I could drill them out, knowing that that was gonna be the case, but I'm probably 30 or 40 minutes into grinding and cleaning them up, and then now I'm going to tack them all together and drill holes and stuff like that. So there's more time in doing this than I would have spent to pay a little extra to just get the laser to do it. So next time the laser, but this time we'll definitely get them cleaned up looking nice, and then we'll get to building the tuber end. got them all tacked up, got them drilled, got the edges or the tacks ground off, pulled them back apart. Now I have matching pairs to everything on how it's going to go on the car. Friendly reminder, make sure to clamp your parts down on the drill press before you start drilling them. I got my middle finger. I had a clamp sitting right there. I didn't use it. I do know better. Anyways, we're going to keep going on the car. However, we're going to do that tomorrow. These pieces are all cut. Now tomorrow, we'll start actually putting some stuff on the car. See you in a little bit.
A few moments later.
So I was gone yesterday. Chad got to work on some stuff, and looks like he's been getting pretty far. Trying to get his tube rear all put together. I'm in the same boat, but since you guys saw last, it's on a completely new chassis. Well, new to me. This is my FC RX-7. Sold my E36, sold both my E36s to take on this challenge. So, always wanted an FC. My grandpa had one that he bought brand new, and my brother has it now, and I just have a lot of memories with these chassis, and always kind of looked up to them as a kid. And now that we're kind of taking our builds a little further, I decided to go with something that I've always wanted to do. So that's kind of the backstory of the RX-7. As you guys know, Chad's running the Viper motor. But I got Chad's old S54. So the S54 will be going in the FC RX-7. I already have my trans, I have my motor, I have the wiring harness from when he ran it. I have Turbo 2 diff and axles. I've got all my suspension. I've got my seats, my harnesses. Got all my cage material. So lately just been trying to cut as much out of the car as possible. And everything's kind of been rough cut so far. Nothing's been finalized, so don't judge the cuts. Cutting the whole back out for a tube rear, fuel cell. I was gonna go rear mount radiator, not really gonna go that path because there's so much room up front with these cars that I don't think it's necessary. I will do it if I need to move weight, but other than that, I will not do a rear mount radiator. Just to keep it simple, I just want to get the car put together and then kind of go from there later. I'm pretty much working on the same thing Chad is, trying to put together a tube rear, and once the rear of the car is put together, kind of work my way towards the front, get everything else cut out that I don't need anymore. Putting the motor and trans in the car, I've already done it once, just roughly, to kind of see where it's going to sit and start mocking up some motor mounts. With that being said, that's kind of where things are. Once the motor and trans is back in, I'll be doing full tube front and everything, and then jumping back to the interior and putting the cage in. So a lot of fab work, a lot of cutting, grinding, all the fun stuff that pretty sure everybody hates. But yeah, that's where we're at. So I got these plates cleaned up. These are the plates that are going to hold substructure to the chassis. Show you an example on Chad's car. He's been drilling them out. They're going to end up going here. One plate on the back side with nuts on it, bolts going through the other plate. Chad's got his all ready. He's getting ready to start making his substructure built off of them. Now that I've got these cleaned up and bolted together, I'm going to go ahead and weld these nuts to the back side so that I can move on to about what he's doing. Fucking love this What are you making?
I am making the substructure. That's just what we call it. I don't know if it's the right term for it. This is going to come off right here. And we're going to build a box, essentially, or I guess a rectangle that goes across. And then our bash bars will be built off of this. Battery can go right here. And in Danny's case, he's going to have a battery and a fuel cell.
Chop chop. It's still raining. I don't feel like I'm in California anymore. Alright, got all the pieces cut. As you can see, got these guys, just a basic 45. Come across, same thing. Got enough room here for my battery. And all the clamps you see on here are to not only hold it in place, but also to keep things square and keep things all on plane with each other. Get it all tacked, make sure it's all good, and then I will continue building everything out, and I'll weld everything when it's all said and done. In order to offset this to the outside the way I want to, I'm gonna have to run these Allens so that I have room. So around the bolts that I bought doesn't quite fit, so that I can go far enough out. Chad's gonna let me use a couple of his Allens because he's a nice guy, and then I'm just gonna have to go buy some more hardware later. Sweet. So gonna tack these guys on. These are what's gonna hold our bash bars. Obviously, there's 2 of these here, and then we will have 2 of these guys out here. And the bash bar will come out from here, go out, where you can't see me, back over here. So it'll come along, you'll see. But we did this one on our buddy Mark's car. It's working well so far. Came out really nice, so figured we'd stick to it. And both cars, even though there's a huge difference in chassis here, both cars can actually have, they both have a 37.5-inch bar for rectangular tubing, and then mine's 36 inches here, but we're using the same here. But even with that, even with the little difference, I think Danny and I will be able to run the same exact bash bar, and hopefully it means that we don't have to have as many on the trailer when we go drifting. We can just have a handful of them, and they work for both cars. All right, got that done. Well, just tacked together. Now I'll start bending some tube for the bash bars. While I'm doing that, Danny's over here tacking together his substructure, and then he's gonna build the whole piece and then weld it to the car, as opposed to I welded mine to the car and then built the piece. Either way, doesn't matter. It'll be kind of cool because we'll get to show you the process of getting this welded to the chassis. A lot of prep work and stuff goes into that because chassis welding always sucks. Chad's got his tabs mounted, ready to start bending some tube. Mine's all clamped up over here in Clamp City. Gonna try and tack it together and see how it turns out. Makes it easier. Alright, so first start of bend. Come on, baby. Damn it.
Gosh darn it!
Well, I'm gonna stop.
1 week later.
Now we're on another day, which is about a week later, and we're getting to working on the cars again. Had a busy week, but now it's time to finish up these two rears, and we think we'll have both of them, hopefully have both of them finished up today. But Danny is getting ready to weld his. He's gonna TIG weld this. And then after it's TIG welded, this is getting MIG'd to the chassis, and then we'll start bending up his tube. As you can see in our previous video, we were bending tube in the dark and trying to figure out what was going on with the bender. We bought this bender because we were kinking tubing with the other bender we were using, and we had bent up some tubing for a friend of ours a few months ago, and it all came out good, no kinks. And then we started bending the other day, and we were getting a little kink in the tubing. It was getting a little kinky. So it was fighting us a little bit, but now we kind of figured it out. What it ended up being was that the lubricant that we were using that JMR gave us, I think it was a pistachio like based, kind of like a grease, but not really. But you can, it's nice because you could TIG weld right through it. It doesn't contaminate anything. However, we did notice it was drying up on the edge of the die here, and then it was like sticky. It wasn't greasy or filmy. I'm probably not using the right words, but whatever.
So that was allowing it to stick, and it was grabbing on when your tubing needs to slide through here. This needs to be dry and not lubricated, but this needs to be lubricated. So in order to get rid of the kinks, what we ended up doing is we cleaned off this follow dye really good, and then just started using some regular old WD-40. So this piece kind of turned into an experiment since we knew that we kind of wasted the material. You could see, I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera, but it's kinking a little bit here. However, after that, we got it bending good. So I'm going to make another one like this. This one ended up a little bit different than the drawing that we have sitting on the floor. So I'm going to bend up another one just like this. This will be a spare. I might end up making two, but for today I'll probably just make another one of these, get it tacked on the chassis, and then I'll start building my overfender mounts and stuff like that. Alright, so I think I'm done overthinking it, but it came out pretty good. I have no kinking in the tubing or anything like that. The reason we run into the kinking is because we run a really thin wall tubing for our bash bars. That way it absorbs the impact. You don't want to make it too strong because then you bend whatever it's attached to. So it's easier to bend this, bend up a new one, and put it on than it is to have it too strong to where you bend your chassis and then you got to worry about trying to fix that. I can't say that I'm going to complain too much. It's actually 3 70-degree bends, so it's nice and easy to bend up another one, and something that's easy to remember. So when I do tap the wall, it only takes a matter of, I don't know, 10-15 minutes to create a new bash bar. So that's it for bending. All I got to do now is notch it and tack it to the other little pieces of tubing. That will go through these bolts right here, and we keep them, this isn't a good example, but I'll show you on the next one. We don't weld any washers. We keep them open like this. So that way it's got a little wiggle room. So if you bend it a little bit, you could probably still get your bash bar on. So now all I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna mark where I want my notches. Gonna notch, I'll shorten them first and then I'll notch them. And then we'll see how this all turns out, but it should be bolted up here in the next 15-20 minutes or so.
All right, so now that I welded up that piece, take this piece and I unbolted it. I'm going to start laying it in here and trying to get this rough cut a little more smoothed in so that the piece is all nice and square, nice and level, and I'm going to MIG weld this piece to the chassis and the other piece bolts to it. Got my bash bars all tacked up. They're test fit. Still have to get these tacked in place as well on both sides, and then I'll make sure that's where I'm happy.
I don't like how low that sits compared to the Overfender. However, I might raise these up about 2 inches or so and see how that looks and play with it a little bit. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm kind of just doing a rough fit on the body to get it laying where I want it so I can build supports for the Overfenders on both sides. And then Danny's over here, and now his faceplate is tacked on. He also put a little brace under here, but that's also just to add a little rigidity into the center of that and some strength. He's getting ready to weld that on right now. Austin's over here chilling today. Out here bending up Danny's bash bars now. So he is going to try, man, it's hard to, it's so high up in the air. He's going to try, since his body, he's still stock body out here, he's not running fiberglass like I am, we're going to keep his bash bar a lot closer to the edge and kind of follow the end of the bumper as well. That way if he hits, it's not going to do as much damage to here as my car. Since it's fiberglass, it'll flex, so my bash bars are set in a little bit. That way, if I get close to the wall, it'll kind of drag it instead of catch and then throw the front of the car in. We bent one, and we bent it a little too short. This is our start here. So we came up a little short on this end, but now we added another 10 inches. Gonna put it all in, get it cut up, and see how that looks. No spring back on this material. It's pretty funny. Yeah. It's almost non-existent. And check this out. Got the bumper hanging on here. Which I haven't seen a bumper on this car in a long time. Really happy with the way my tube structure came out. Sorry, I know it's kind of dark. And then Danny over here got his tubes bent today. It started getting dark on us, so we didn't film as much. Check that out. Looks so gangster. He's still got a little finish welding to do on his too, and you'll see that in a future video. But for this one, it's going to be kind of it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully we didn't talk too much. Peace out.